Hello, my name is Hollis Pritchett, and today I'm roughly going to go over what we learned in chapters 1 through 4 of our textbook. I'll start with chapter 1, where communication is defined by the text as the process of creating or sharing meaningful information in informal conversation, group interaction, or public speaking. There are 6 basic principles of communication. The first is that communication has a purpose. So whether it's to meet our social needs or influence others, there are always reasons why we communicate. The second is that communication is continuous. That means we are constantly sharing and sending communications, whether they're verbal or nonverbal communication. The third principle is that communication messages vary in conscious thought. And that means that many messages are spontaneous, but there are also scripted and constructed messages. The fourth principle of communication is relational communication. And the fifth is that communication is guided by cultures. That most cultures communicate, but they all communicate differently because of beliefs and values that also differ by culture. The sixth and last principle is that communication has ethical implications, whether it's integrity or truth and honesty, fairness, respect, and responsibility. Groups and societies and individuals have different expectations of communication, but these are some of the standards. In chapter 2, we are looking at the perception of self and perception of others. Self-concept and self-esteem are discussed in this chapter, and they are the two perceptions of yourself which truly have a great impact on how we communicate. Self-concept is our identity and who we think we are. Personal experiences and our reactions to others are what create this self-concept. Self-esteem is our positive or negative evaluation of our self-concept. So the self-esteem and self-concept go hand in hand in creating our self-image, which has a lot of impact on how we communicate with others. The good or bad thing about self-communication and self-concept and self-esteem are that they can be changed. The perception of others is also discussed in this chapter, and these are based on stereotypes or observations we make. They're also or our emotional state when we meet this person. If you meet someone and you're having one of the best days of your life, you're going to have a more positive interaction with this person than you were if you just found out something tragic happened or your life is changing dramatically and what you don't think is for the best. So our emotional state also affects our perception of others. In chapter 3, we learn about the nature and purposes of language. We learn that words have no meaning. It's people saying them that give them meaning. It's really amazing to think of how different cultures and different genders even have such an impact on the purpose of the language. Different cultures have different ways of communicating, as well as they're defined as high and low context cultures. High, which is like the United States, low culture contexts are like the United States, where we say things directly, and high context cultures are where our sense of communication highly is interpreted by the setting or the surroundings. To clarify, we use specific words, concrete words, and precise words. That all help clarify our meanings in our speech and communication. This chapter talks about ways to enhance your speaking with vivid wording, metaphors, and emphasis, ways that we can be remembered. And lastly, in chapter 4, we cover nonverbal communication. And according to this chapter, face-to-face communication, as much as 60% of social man of social meaning, is a result of our nonverbal cues. Those are things like gestures, or it includes eye contact, facial expression, haptics, which are the way we touch each other to communicate, which is highly differentiated on culture. Our vocals also are part of a nonverbal communication. Our pitch, our variety and melody, our vocal pauses. We also learn that personal space is a nonverbal cue for communicating, as well as self-presentation. Whether you prepare yourself or you don't stay well groomed. It also says that proxemics, which is our use of time, so whether you're late or tardy, that, or on time, that's a nonverbal cue, because I know for myself, if someone's late for a meeting or an appointment, that's not exactly a sign that they care or that they have any respect for our sense of time or that meeting. So those are chapters 1 through 4. Thank you.